Hello students. So students, today we will revise chapter 2, that is microorganisms, friend and food. So you know what are microorganisms? They are large number of living organisms, okay, which are present in soil, water and air around us. Okay, some of the organisms are small and we cannot see with the naked eye. Okay, so you know what are the living organisms? They are some very small organisms, living organisms, which we cannot see with our naked eye, and they are present everywhere: soil, water, air, and these are called as microorganisms because they are very small. We cannot see them with our naked eye, but they are present. Okay, and that is why we need a special type of instrument called as microscope to see them, and they are called as microorganisms. They are extremely small. Those organisms which are too small to see with a microscope are called as those who are too small to be seen without a microscope are called as microorganisms. Okay, now students, the microorganisms means small organisms, small living organisms. So these organisms are harmful also and they are useful also. Okay, now like the spoiling of food and causing diseases. So some of the microorganisms are harmful to us. So the microorganisms like bacteria, fungi, they make our food go bad. Okay, so micro and some of the microorganisms also cause diseases, and the diseases are like cold, malaria, skin infections, typhoid. So means the microorganisms, they have a harmful effect also and they have useful effect also. Okay, now they are microorganisms. There are large number of microorganisms, very small, which can be seen only with a microscope. So these microorganisms are divided into 4 groups. Okay, and what are those 4 groups? You can see here. The first is bacteria. You can see here, just see once. Yeah, here in your book, that is page 24. So these are the bacteria. So what is a bacteria? Bacteria is also a microorganism. You can see here in the book. So please underline bacteria. Bacteria are very small single cell microorganisms which have cell walls but do not have an organized nucleus, because bacteria are prokaryotes. Okay, so they do not have a well organized nucleus, and here the DNA lies in the cytoplasm. Okay, now you can see. So there are 3 groups of bacteria based on the shape: rod shaped, which are spherical spherical bacteria, rod shape, and spiral bacteria. Okay, some of the bacteria, they are useful and help in making the foods like nitrogen fixation. So I told you the microorganisms, they have harmful effects as well as they have useful effects also. Okay, now I told you the microorganisms are divided into some broad categories. One is bacteria, second is virus. You know, viruses, they are very small microorganisms and they can develop only inside the host. Microorganisms are not considered living or non-living, because these viruses, they do not respire, they do not have their own machinery. So what they do, they enter the host and this thing organism, and they uses the host machinery. So outside they do not do anything, but when they enter the host, then what they do, they reproduces only inside the host. Okay, viruses do not show most of the characteristics of a living things, because viruses are not considered, when the viruses are outside the host, they are not considered as living organisms. Okay, only when they enter the host and they use the machinery of the host, okay, then only they are considered as living. Okay, viruses do not show most of the characteristics of living things. Viruses do not respire, you know, feed, grow, excrete. Okay, so I hope you all know what is a virus. Okay, please underline, viruses are the agents of disease. That you know, there are so many viral diseases also. Okay, like common cold, polio, chickenpox, smallpox, they all are caused by viruses. 2 examples of the virus and human deficiency. 2 examples of viruses are common cold and human, that is HIV virus. Common cold virus cause diseases cause common cold diseases, whereas HIV AIDS diseases. Okay. Now you know that the viral diseases cannot be treated by antibiotics, only the bacterial diseases can be treated by antibiotics. Now what is a protozoa? Protozoa is nothing, they are single microorganisms, they are single cell microorganisms, but they are classified as animals. Okay, so these are the protozoa. They are microorganisms, they are single cell, but they are classified as animals. Okay, so we have already discussed about it. Protozoans, they are found in ponds, lakes, dirty water and all. Okay, so disease is this one. Now here you can see algae. What is algae? Algae is green. It has a this thing chlorophyll. Algae is a large group of they are plant-like organisms. They have chlorophyll, and now if they have chlorophyll, they produce food by the process of photosynthesis. So you can write the examples are Cladomonas and Spirogyra. This is a Cladomonas, this is a Spirogyra. These are the algae. Okay, understood? Now another one is fungi. Fungi is also a large group of organisms. Okay, they do not have chlorophyll. So if they do not have chlorophyll, they do not perform photosynthesis. So algae also doesn't have a chlorophyll, and this fungi also doesn't have a chlorophyll, so they do not perform the process of photosynthesis. Okay, now you know fungi need moist and warm conditions to grow, as you have seen in bread mold. So it needs warm conditions to grow. So most of the fungi are saprophytes. You know, most of the fungi are saprophytes. What do you mean by saprophytes? That is, it feed on the dead organism or dead living things. Okay, like remain, understood? So that is a saprophyte. So you can say the fungi are saprophytes, which feed on dead things like remains of dead animals, plants. Okay, so some fungi are saprophytes, okay, which feed on the dead plants and animals, and some fungi are parasites. Okay, so they feed on the living things and cause diseases. And what is a mold? Mold is a fur-like growth of minute fungi occurring in organic matter in moist and warm conditions. So some of the examples of mold fungi are rhizopus. You know this thing. Molds are also fungus only. Okay, so like rhizopus, penicillium and aspergillus, they all are mold. You can say they all come under mold. And what is a mold? Mold is a fungus. So so fungus like yeast and molds, they are very small in size and can be seen clearly only with a microscope. I hope it's clear. So you know what is a fungus. Okay, fungus can be saprophytes. Okay, and can be parasites. Understood? So please underline till saprophytes. So this fungus here, this fungus, it is saprophyte and it is parasites. And this fungus like bread mold and all this, these fungus, they do not perform the process of photosynthesis. Okay, so you can write. So mold is also a fungus. Okay, so these are the molds. A mold is a fur-like growth of minute fungus occurring on organic matter in moist and warm conditions. So where do microorganisms live? Microorganisms, they live everywhere. So okay, now microorganisms and us. So students, microorganisms have some useful uses also, and microorganism has some harmful effects also. So friendly microorganisms are what? They are the useful microorganisms. So you can see what are the uses of microscope, like making of curd, that is one of the use, making of bread. Okay, so this is the use of microorganisms. Commercial use of microorganisms, they are also used in the production of alcohol and acetic acid. You know, alcohol is produced from the sugars. Okay, so what happens? The process of conversion of sugar into an alcohol, that is called as fermentation. So in the production of alcohol, the sugars, that is converted into a alcohol, and fermentation was discovered by Louis Pasteur. In order to make alcohol, yeast is grown on the natural sugars which is present in these grains. Okay, dilute solution of acetic acid is called as a vinegar. Bacterium turns alcohol into acetic acid. Just remember this thing. Medicinal use of microorganisms. You know that medicines What are antibiotics? Antibiotics are produced from the microorganism. Antibiotics are those medicines which kills, okay, which stops the growth or kills the disease causing microorganisms. So these are those antibiotics are those medicines which either stops the growth or kill the microorganism, because you know there are so many microorganisms. Some microorganisms are harmful, they can cause disease in animals. So but these microorganisms can be killed by the use of antibiotics. So the source of antibiotic medicines are microorganisms. Understood? So I told you that nowadays large number of antibiotics are available which is produced from fungi and bacteria like penicillin, streptomycin, erythromycin, tetracycline and so on. Okay, so antibiotics are also produced synthetically. Many different antibiotics are available to treat variety of disease caused by microorganisms. Now the thing is this, antibiotics are produced by microorganisms and they are used to cure the diseases which is caused by microorganisms. So first antibiotic penicillin was discovered by chance and was extracted from a tiny fungus which is a mold called as penicillin. It was a chance discovery. Penicillin was discovered by chance. The scientist Alexander Fleming, he was cultivating the culture of disease causing bacteria. Okay, there was some bacteria, disease causing bacteria. So he was studying that and he was cultivating the culture. You know, suddenly what he found he saw the spores of some green fungus and he saw that the growth of the bacteria stopped. The presence of the fungus stopped the growth of the bacteria, and not only this, it also kills some of the bacteria. Okay, disease causing fungus. So from this fungus, that is which is a mold, penicillin, okay, antibiotic penicillin was made. Okay, the fungus is Penicillium and the antibiotic penicillin was made. So penicillin is an antibiotic medicine which is made from a fungus Penicillium and it controls bacterial and fungal infection. Now antibiotics are actually used when the disease in the body of a living organism is caused by bacteria. Then the antibiotics used. Antibiotics are not they cannot cure the viral diseases. The diseases which are caused by viruses, antibiotics are not effective against the diseases caused by viruses. Okay, antibiotics cannot be used to cure disease like common cold, because common cold is a viral disease. So we cannot use antibiotic against flu, viral fever, because they are caused by viruses. So some of the precautions to be observed in the use of antibiotics are as follows. Antibiotics should be taken only on the advice of a qualified doctor. But what we generally do, okay, if a slight cold or this thing, okay, we on our own we take the antibiotics. No, one should take antibiotic, not only antibiotic, any medicine only on the advice of a qualified doctor. A person must complete the full course of antibiotic prescribed by the doctor. This is very important. Generally what happens, the doctor maybe give antibiotics for 5 days, okay, or for 3 days. But what we do once when we take the dose and suddenly when we start feeling good, we stop the course, we stop taking medicines. But that one should not do, because what happens in that case, the bacteria are not killed fully. Okay, and what happens, the bacteria which are left, they can become resistant, and later on when we get the same disease, okay, then what happens, that antibiotic is not effective against that. So one should always complete the course of antibiotic. So otherwise the antibiotic slowly it becomes ineffective against a particular disease. So when next time when we suffer from that disease and we take the antibiotic, then it is not effective. Then we have to take another antibiotic, or you can say a more stronger antibiotics. The antibiotic should be taken in proper dose as advised by the doctor. Okay. If the person takes antibiotics in wrong dose, it may make the antibiotics less effective and the person might need it in future. That's what I said. Antibiotics should not be taken unnecessarily. Antibiotics taken unnecessarily may kill the useful bacteria in the body and harm us. Antibiotics can be used to treat diseases in animals too. What is a vaccine? Vaccine is also a preparation, okay, It is a special kind of a preparation or a medicine which provides immunity against a particular disease. Vaccine, it provides a immunity against a particular very dangerous disease, and it can provide immunity, lifelong immunity. Okay, so whenever if a person takes a vaccine, so that will provide immunity. So when the person is exposed to that particular pathogen or that particular, you can say, disease causing microscope, nothing happens to the that person. So in some case it provides it can provide lifelong immunity also, and not necessarily that all the vaccines may provide lifelong, but generally it provides lifelong immunity. Lifelong immunity means resistance against a particular disease. Now actually what happens in a vaccine, there are some chemicals, you can say antibodies in our body, which fight against the foreign organism, or any foreign organism enters. The antibodies are produced by the body, by our body, and they fight, they kill that microorganism. So there is a specific antibody for each microorganism. So if the antibodies are there in the body, so are produced in the body, and if any organism, disease causing microorganism or a pathogen enters in the body, they kill that pathogen. So vaccine is nothing but vaccine, it contains a dead or a weakened microorganism. It contains a dead or a weakened pathogen. Okay, and that is injected in the body to produce the antibodies against that microorganism. So if it's a dead, definitely it is not going to harm the body, and if it's weakened also, whatever antibodies are produced will kill the microorganism. So it is so vaccine, here the weakened microorganism or a dead microorganism is taken only to produce the antibodies against that particular pathogen. So once the antibodies are produced, it remains in the blood, and next time when a healthy microorganism enters the body, or healthy or next time when the same microorganism but healthy, here so we are using a dead or a weakened microorganism in a vaccine just to produce the antibodies, because there are different antibiotics for different microorganisms or pathogens. So once the antibodies are produced, it remains in the blood, and next time when a healthier microorganism enters, the antibodies fight with the great vigor and kill the microorganisms. Understood? So that is the vaccine develops the immunity for a disease. So what is vaccination? Is a process of giving a vaccine orally, by mouth, or by injection, which provides protection against a particular disease. Okay, so the diseases which can be prevented by vaccination of children at a proper age are polio, smallpox, cholera, typhoid, hepatitis, tuberculosis, tetanus, measles, and so on. Edward Jenner discovered the vaccine for smallpox. Okay, so today we will do till here. Rest of the things that we will do in the next class. So so if you also have any doubt, you can clarify your doubt. Okay, students, during the live classes or during the clarification. Thank you, students. Have a nice day.